Hello and welcome back to Mass Effect, the Let's Play with Rambler. This is just an extra video to go through all of the, I think it's the journal stuff. No, not the journal stuff. Is it the journal stuff? Or the Codex? It's the Codex stuff. Basically, we're going to go through all the Codex stuff that we've yet to go through in this video. So if you're not interested in me reading out the Codex and commenting on it in terms of all the back lore and extra bits and bobs, then you can skip this video and go to the next part if you so wish. Otherwise, sit back and relax and let's go through the Codex stuff. Without saving the game, Neo, come on. Stupid fool. Right then, so we've got a lot of stuff here that we need to read through. So let's begin, shall we?
The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Solarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Since then, the Asari have served as the mediators and centrists of the Council. An all-female race, the Asari reproduce through a form of parthenogenesis. They can attune their nervous system to that of another individual of any gender and of any species to reproduce. This capability has led to the unseemly and inaccurate rumors about Asari promiscuity. Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through 3 stages of life. In the maiden stage, they wander restlessly, seeking new knowledge and experience. When the matron stage begins, they meld with interesting partners to produce their offspring. This ends when they reach the matriarch stage, where they assume the roles of leaders and counselors.
Well, it's nice to have had that read out instead, saves my voice, and also it's read a lot better than what I usually do. But yeah, there you go, there's the Asari race, who, like I said, are an all-female race that can do whatever they want, they can live up to 1,000 years, although their life seems pretty sort of planned out for them. So I don't know if the 3 stages are split evenly, or split sort of, you know, they spend 100 years gaining knowledge, then 800 years doing whatever, and then the last 100 years being a counsellor, whatever, who knows. But there you go. They're alright, I don't mind them so much, but I forgot they live up to 1,000 years, so lucky them, eh?
The second species to join the Citadel, the Solarians, are warm-blooded amphibians with a hyperactive metabolism. Solarians think fast, talk fast, and move fast. To Solarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Solarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Solarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive Krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the creation of the genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the Krogan rebellions several centuries later.
Aren't they
Solarians
nice people?
are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they are letting on.
I wonder if they're the offspring of Nintendo. Probably. Oh well.
Roughly 1,200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence and the Asari for diplomacy.
In other words, they
Despite
run
a somewhat
everything.
colonial attitude towards the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other 2 races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor. There is lingering animosity between Turians and humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the 2 species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations.
See, I told you before and I'll say it again, the only ways you can unite people is through war. You just have to kill a lot of people before you get to know them. Simple as that. Anyway, well, let's not hear him rant about that anymore. But there you go, those are the 3 main races of the game. Well, I say 3 main races, the 3 council races, but there are others that we've come across, so let's listen to them.
The Elcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Dakuna. They are massive creatures, standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Elcor moves slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has colored their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative. Elcor's speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and subvocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Elcor often go out of their way to clarify when they are being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Dacuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Elcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Elcor still prefer open sky and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys.
No wonder why they sound just like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labor and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society.
That's
the Geth
interesting.
possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves.
Like a hive
In groups,
mind.
they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus Arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the Terminus systems.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So you don't have to worry about artificial intelligence taking your jobs and what have you, because eventually they'll become self-aware and self-sufficient, go to war with us, win, and then any surviving species that somehow flee to other places to colonize, they'll say no to artificial intelligence, and therefore it will never ever take over. Yeah, right.
The Hanar are a citadel species known for excessive politeness. They speak with scrupulous precision and take offense at improper language.
Fucking dicks.
Hanar that expect to deal with other species take special courses to help them unlearn their tendency to take offense at improper speech. All Hanar have two names. The face name is known to the world. The soul name is kept for use among close friends and relations. Hanar never refer to themselves in the first person in conversation with someone they know on a face name basis. To do so is considered egotistical.
I think they're beyond
instead,
egotistical at this rate.
As this one, or the impersonal it. Their homeworld, Kaje, has 90% ocean cover and orbits an energetic white star, resulting in a permanent blanket of cloud. Due to the presence of Prothean ruins on the world, many Hanar worship them, and Hanar myths often speak of an elder race that civilized them by teaching them language.
In other words, because they have overcast days every day, they are incredibly boring.
The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment. Until the invention of gunpowder weapons, eaten by predators was still the #1 cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards, it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species, struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology, so they could serve as soldiers in the Rachni War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion.
They're not that
They began
sexy.
to colonize nearby worlds. Even though these worlds were already inhabited, the Krogan rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the Genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all Krogan resistance. The Genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the Krogan are a slowly dying breed. Understandably, the Krogan harbor a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians.
Well, you know, if they could easily reproduce as quick as they were before, I'm not surprised somebody didn't take a punt at them and slowed them down a bit. To the point of extinction's a bit far, but even so, you know. Might sound a bit harsh for me saying, oh, but that's not being very free and loving and tolerant. But then if you were surrounded by 1 billion of these things, you would certainly be thinking, Where's the genophage thing again? I could be really useful for that by now, so don't give me all that
The
tolerant
Volus are a
bollocks.
member species of the Citadel with their own embassy, but they are also a client race of the Turians. Centuries ago, they were voluntarily absorbed into the hierarchy, effectively trading their mercantile prowess for Turian military protection. Erun, their homeworld, lies far beyond the normal life zone of its star. However, the world has a high-pressure greenhouse atmosphere that traps enough heat to support an ammonia-based biochemistry. As a result, the Volus must wear pressure suits and breathers when dealing with other species, as conventional nitrogen-oxygen air mixtures are poisonous to them, and in the low-pressure atmospheres tolerable to most species, their flesh will actually split open.
Ouch.
Volus culture is tribal, bartering lands and even people to gain status. This culture of exchange inclines them to economic pursuits. It was the Volus who authored the Unified Banking Act, and they continue to monitor and balance the Citadel economy.
So economically powerful, but weak in themselves. Very interesting. Okay, so we've got aliens, non-sapient creatures then.
After the
Ooh.
guests secure a location, they round up and impale dead and living bodies on mechanical spikes.
As you do.
The spikes rapidly transform these victims into withered husks, extracting water and trace minerals, and replacing them with cybernetics. The cybernetics
Wonder how a
reanimate
spike
the
actually
lifeless flesh
does
and
that.
tissue, transforming the bodies into mindless killing machines. Some Alliance soldiers refer to the husk-generating spikes as dragon's teeth, a reference to the mythological berserkers who sprang up from the earth wherever the teeth of the dragon Eris were planted. Dragon's teeth and husks bear little resemblance to other pieces of Geth technology. No one is sure why a synthetic race would bother to drain the minuscule amount of recoverable resources from organic corpses, though the value of reusing them as shock troops is obvious.
Not a very pleasant way to go. But if you're dead already, I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? But yeah, so they're essentially artificial intelligence zombies. Impressive, but creepy.
The Citadel is an ancient deep space station, presumably constructed by the Protheans. Since the Prothean extinction, numerous species have come to call the Citadel home. It serves as the political, cultural, and financial capital of the galactic community. To represent their interests, most species maintain embassies on the Presidium, the Citadel's inner ring.
Yeah, at least they're
The
recycling
Citadel
the building and
Tower
not
in the
demolishing
center
it.
of the Presidium holds the Citadel Council chambers. Council affairs often have far-reaching effects on the rest of the galactic community. 5 arms, known as the wards, extend from the Presidium. Their inner surfaces have been built into cities, populated by millions of inhabitants from across the galaxy. The Citadel is virtually indestructible.
That is
If
convenient.
attacked, the station can close its arms to form a solid, impregnable shell. For as long as the station has existed, an enigmatic race called the Keepers has maintained it.
But they're probably also the key to its destruction.
The Council is an executive committee composed of representatives from the Asari Republics, the Turian hierarchy, and the Solarian Union. Though they have no official power over the independent governments of other species, the Council's decisions carry great weight throughout the galaxy. No single Council race is strong enough to defy the other two, and all have a vested interest in compromise and cooperation.
Fair
Each
enough.
of the Council species has general characteristics associated with the various aspects of governing the galaxy. The Asari are typically seen as diplomats and mediators. The Solarians gather intelligence and information. The Turians provide the bulk of the military and peacekeeping forces.
Again,
Any
very
species
convenient.
granted an embassy on the Citadel is considered an associate member, bound by the accords of the Citadel Conventions. Associate members may bring issues to the attention of the Council, though they have no input on the decision. The Human Systems Alliance became an associate member of the Citadel in 2165.
So it makes me wonder why the humans want to be like. Obviously, a lot of associate races probably want to be a member of the council, but why humans being so particularly specialised and not specialised, but singled out as potentially being the next member? We don't really offer anything that they don't already provide. I mean, they provide it in very segmented way. Sorry. Ugh. Dying of everything. Segmented ways of everything. But the humans are kind of like a really bad combination of the three. So again, what we have to offer, I don't know. But I guess it's just to make the narrative of the story and the focus of the humans a bit more important sounding, I guess.
Spectres are agents from the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance, and answer only to the Citadel Council. They are elite military operatives, granted the authority to deal with threats to peace and stability in whatever way they deem necessary. They operate independently or in groups of 2 or 3. Some are empathetic peacekeepers, resolving disputes through diplomacy. Others are cold-blooded assassins, ruthlessly dispatching problem individuals. All get the job done one way or another, often operating outside the bounds of galactic law. The Spectres were founded after the Solarians joined the Council. For many years they operated in secrecy as backroom problem solvers. Only after the Krogan rebellions did their activities become publicized. Assignment of a Spectre is less contentious than a military deployment, but makes it clear that the Council is concerned about a situation.
So, in other words, yeah, it's just basically the equivalent of, you know, international governments, black projects type shit. I mean, we already know about that. It's already been explained to us a lot. But, yeah, essentially the Council will always have their presence known because they can just send a Spectre or Spectres through and just kick their asses, and that's it, really. Good section, think of it. Right. I'm going to pause for a moment because I need to have a yawn and a stretch, and then I shall continue. So back in a moment. Okay, right, we're back. Let's carry on with humanity and the Systems Alliance.
Humanity's first contact with an alien race occurred in 2157. At that time, the Alliance allowed survey fleets to activate any dormant mass relays discovered, a practice considered dangerous and irresponsible by Council-aligned races. When a Turian patrol discovered a human fleet attempting to activate a relay, they attacked. One human vessel survived, retreating to the colony of Shanxi. The Turians followed, quickly defeating the local forces. Shanxi was occupied, the first and to date only human world to be conquered by an alien species.
Yeah, we just wanted to stress that bit, just so then we're not complete pussies.
They defeated represented the bulk of human defenses, so they were unprepared when the Second Fleet, under Admiral Castany Drescher, launched a strong counteroffensive, evicting them from Shanxi. The Turians mobilized for full-scale war, drawing the attention of the rest of the galaxy. The Council quickly intervened, forcing a truce. Fortunately for humanity, the First Contact War was ended with a diplomatic solution.
Yeah, there's no way we would have stood up to them. They would have completely wiped us out. Let's just be real here.
The Alliance is an independent supranational government representing the interests of humanity as a whole. The Alliance is responsible for the governance and defense of all extrasolar colonies and stations.
See, this is the only time I would agree to this, is if we were colonizing out space and there were aliens out there. Then I'd be all for global and galactic
planets have been
government.
explored and exploited through piecemeal national efforts. The expense of colonizing entire new solar systems could not be met by any one country. With humans knowing that alien contact was inevitable, there was enough political will to jointly fund an international effort. Still, the Alliance was often disregarded by those on Earth until the First Contact War.
Told you, see,
While
people like
the
me
national
don't like that sort of thing.
and bickered over who should lead the effort to liberate Shanxi, the Alliance fleet struck decisively. Post-war public approval gave the Alliance the credibility to establish its own parliament and become the galactic face of humanity.
See, that's what I mean. You can only unite under war. Sad, sad fact. But it's true. So, you never know. But anyway, let's carry on. Planets and locations. I don't know if it could be really... But no, let's do it. Come on, I know people... We all know about the planets and all that stuff. But let's just do it. By the way, I think when they refer to Sol in this game, they're referring to our solar system. So if you see Sol, I think it's referring to, you know, the solar system that we live in currently.
The terminus systems are located on the far side of the Attican Traverse, beyond the space administered by the Citadel Council or claimed by the Human Systems Alliance. It is populated by a loose affiliation of minor species, united only in their refusal to acknowledge the political authority of the Council or adhere to the Citadel Conventions.
So they're the scum of the
Their independence
galaxy.
comes at a price. The terminus is fraught with conflict. War among the various species is common, as governments and dictators constantly rise and fall. The region is a haven for illegal activities, particularly piracy and the slave trade. At least once a year, a fleet from the terminus invades the nearby Attican Traverse. These attacks are typically small raids against poorly defended colonies. The Council rarely retaliates, as sending patrols into the terminus systems could unify the disparate species against their common foe, triggering a long and costly war.
See, that's quite. Actually, this is what I like about this game, is they really do go into sort of detail about why certain decisions are made. Where you think, well, why aren't the Council defending these small colonies that are being attacked by these raiding parties? And you can tell from the colony perspectives that the ones being attacked, they'd be like, well, the Council sucks. Why is this? Why are they not helping us? They're supposed to help us and all that. And I've criticised the European Union for doing stuff like that. But then you could argue, well, actually, because in real life they very rarely ever tell us the true story, whereas here it plain out says, well, we don't help them because if we do, then they might suddenly unite against one another and start a long war against the Council, which we don't want because that would cost more lives, more money, and more this and that. We don't need that. We don't want that. And, that's fine. If they're upfront about it, that's absolutely fine. But nobody is, and that's why everybody gets angry, because you think, no, I'm not saying that they don't have a right to be angry and get upset, the people on the colonies, absolutely not, of course they do, and they should be. But what I'm saying is, if the Council just said that if we do this, this is what's going to happen, then I'm not saying it solves the situation, the colonies won't necessarily accept it, but at least they'll understand, or at least appreciate where they're coming from, and then it's up to the colonies whether they want to stand by that or join the terminus system, in this case anyway. It's just, I suppose you argue, well, if you say everything, then everything goes wrong. But then not necessarily. You just got to take that risk, but nobody does because everybody's a card. But anyway, never mind. Let us continue. Ships and vehicles.
The Mako infantry.
This will come later on, so we'll talk about this at a later stage. But we'll listen to this.
Though the interior is cramped, an M35 is small enough to be carried in the cargo bay and easily deployed on virtually any world.
Even though it's cramped.
With its 155mm mass accelerator and coaxially mounted machine gun, the Mako can provide a fire team with weapon support as well as mobility. Since Alliance Marines may be required to fight on any world, the Mako is environmentally sealed and equipped with microthrusters for use on low-gravity planetoids.
That's clever.
The Mako is powered by a sealed hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell and includes a small Element 0 core. While not large enough to nullify the vehicle's mass, the core can reduce it enough to be safely airdropped. When used in conjunction with thrusters, it also allows the Mako to extricate itself from difficult terrain.
Like I said, we'll get onto that later on, a bit more about the Mako, because it does play a part. But thanks to Element 0, a convenient element that solves a lot of physical problems in reality, we can build shit like that. I don't know.
Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create mass effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce mass effect fields powerful enough for practical use.
How on earth did they detect them then at the time? Then
biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual.
It must be like a really sophisticated detective system to tell if you could do it or not.
Uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Spatial distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects. Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of an in utero exposure to Element 0.
Element 0
this
again,
usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases, it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system.
What a risk worth taking, eh? Huh. But yes, Element 0, the one thing in this game that just allows you to bypass all of these, but this wouldn't work because of XYZ. Element 0! Oh, right, okay. But I can accept the game for that. I can suspend my disbelief for it. Because they've taken so much detail on everything else.
VIs use a variety of methods to simulate natural conversation, including an audio interface and an avatar personality to interact with. Although a VI can provide a convincing emulation of sentience, they are not self-aware. nor can they learn or take independent action.
I beg to differ.
VIs are used as operating systems on commercial and home computers. Minimal VI agents are also available. Agents are compact and specialized. Some serve as personal secretaries, filtering calls and scheduling meetings based on user-defined priorities. Others are advanced search engines, propagating themselves across the extranet to collate user-requested data. Commercial VIs in a variety of stock personalities are available at any software retailer. Boutique firms and hobbyists also build unique VIs to personal specification.
All of them
Although
represent
software
sexy
emulation
Asari
of
for some
living
reason.
personalities is illegal, reconstructions of famous historical figures are common. Element 0 can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low-mass fields allow FTL travel
That's
and
faster than light.
inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High-mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low-mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high-mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The military makes extensive use of mobility-enhancing technologies, with Mass Effect utilizing fighting vehicles standard frontline issue in most military forces. Mass Effect fields are also essential in the creation of kinetic barriers or shields to protect against enemy fire.
So I like the fact that they talk about element 0 can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time. It's quite clever that they try and explain it. It's pretty cool.
Mass relays are feats of Prothean engineering advanced far beyond the technology of any living species. They are enormous structures scattered throughout the stars and can create corridors of virtually mass-free space, allowing instantaneous transit between locations separated by years or even centuries of travel using conventional FTL drives.
But you can't go
Primary
faster than light, though.
relays
That's
can
the
propel
problem.
ships thousands of light years,
Not unless you
often
have
from
zero
one
mass or
spiral
zero
arm
rest
of
mass.
the
Anyway.
galaxy to another. However, they have fixed one-to-one connections. A primary relay connects to one other primary relay and nowhere else. Secondary relays can only propel ships across a few hundred light years. However, they are omnidirectional. A secondary relay can send a ship to any other relay within its limited range. There are many dormant primary relays whose corresponding twins have not yet been located. These are left inactive until their partner is charted, as established civilizations are unwilling to blindly open a passage that might connect them to a hostile species.
Hence why we got told off when we found our first Mass Effect relay. We were like, turn it on! It's like, no, don't do that! So yeah, but again, very well thought out. But yeah, very convenient that these relays are just scattered around the galaxy, you know, in convenient places to travel. Again, Prothean engineering, this Prothean race that we've heard before, they were around for years before us and they developed them. I don't think at this point in time in the game that the races involved know how they fully work. They just use them. I think they have some understanding, but not like they don't know how it
Omni-tools are
completely works.
handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omni-tool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor, from a distance. The fabrication module can rapidly assemble small three-dimensional objects from common reusable industrial plastics, ceramics, and light alloys. This allows for field repairs and modifications to most standard items, as well as the reuse of salvaged equipment.
Very useful.
Omni-tools are standard issue for soldiers and first-in colonists.
Very cool. Very cool. I like it. Looks bizarre, but I like it.
Combat hard suits use a dual-layer system to protect the wearer. The inner layer consists of fabric armor with kinetic padding. Areas that don't need to be flexible, such as the chest or shins, are reinforced with sheets of lightweight ablative ceramic. The outer layer consists of automatically generated kinetic barriers. Objects traveling above a certain speed will trigger the barrier's reflex system and be deflected, provided there is enough energy left in the shield's power cell. Armored hard suits are sealable to protect the wearer from extremes of temperature and atmosphere. Standard equipment includes an onboard mini-frame and a communications, navigation, and sensing suite. The mini-frame is designed to accept and display data from a weapon's smart targeting system to make it easier to locate and eliminate enemies.
Again, very, very cool, very well detailed. I love all this stuff. It's very interesting. Just wish I could take it all in and remember it all.
More commonly called shields, provide protection against most mass accelerator weapons. Whether on a starship or a soldier's suit of armor, the basic principle remains the same. Kinetic barriers are repulsive mass effect fields, projected from tiny emitters. These shields safely deflect small objects traveling at rapid velocities.
Like bullets.
This affords protection from bullets and other dangerous projectiles, but still allows the user to sit down without knocking away their chair.
Convenient.
The shielding afforded by kinetic barriers does not protect against extremes of temperature, toxins, or radiation.
Not convenient, but we have to balance it out somehow.
Medigel is a common medicinal salve used by paramedics, EMTs, and military personnel. It combines several useful applications: a local anesthetic, disinfectant, and clotting agent all in one.
But what about viral infection? You fucked it,
to
aren't you?
flesh until subjected to a frequency of ultrasound. It is sealable against liquids, most notably blood, as well as contaminants and gases. The gel is a genetically engineered bioplasm created by the CERTA Foundation, a medical technology megacorp based on Earth. Technically, Medigel violates Council laws against genetic engineering, but to date, it has proved far too useful to ban.
Well, that's funny. Oh dear. Lots of convenience in all of this in terms of getting around certain loopholes, as I've said about physics in the universe, but all very interesting, and I like the way it sets it all up. It's quite simple. Like, it's not like an overly complex thing. It's just I like the detail when they try to explain how things work and how things go in the world. It's pretty cool, and I found it very interesting back in the day. But then again, I was doing a physics degree, so I guess I appreciated it more. Whereas now, I haven't done physics really for a long time, and I'm just like, I'm bored of it now. But still. So yeah, we're not going to bother with the tutorials or anything like that. Personal history, I think we've already read that. Oh my god, there's so much stuff here. I don't think we need to bother with any of this. I don't know, should we? No, we'll bother with these then, I suppose. I'm sorry that it's going to take a long time, but let's go through it then. But again, you can skip if you've had enough of it. If you only want to listen to the primary stuff, you can skip ahead. Whereas, you know, for now we'll carry on with all this then. Okay, so this is secondary Citadel Galactic Government Citadel Conventions. These diplomatic talks occurred in the wake of the Krogan rebellions as a response to the destruction of the conflict in an attempt to distance the Council from the brutal Krogan warfare. The conventions regulate the use of weapons of mass destruction. A WMD causes environmental alteration to a world. A bomb that produces a large crater is not considered a WMD. A bomb that causes a nuclear winter is. Use of WMD is forbidden on garden worlds like Earth, with ecospheres that can readily support population. If a habitable world is destroyed, it will not be replaced for millions of years. The conventions do not forbid the use of WMD on hostile worlds or in sealed space station environments. Many militaries continue to develop and maintain stockpiles. Like I said, mutually assured destruction is basically, again, another way to keep us all happy and peaceful. The conventions graded weapons of mass destruction into tiers of concern. Tier 1 is the greatest threat to galactic peace. Tier 1. Large kinetic impactors, such as asteroid drops or deorbiting space stations. Effectively free and available in any system, in the form of debris left over from planetary accretion, kinetic impactors are the weapon of choice for terrorists and third galaxy nations. I suppose it's cheap. Tier 2. Uncontrolled self-replicating weapons such as nanotechnology, viral or bacteriological organisms, von Neumann devices, and destructive computer viruses. These weapons can lie dormant for millennia, waiting for a careless visitor to carry them to another world. I think they're probably more scary than the first one. I suppose the first one is pretty much like mass destruction, but these, you don't know. It's stealthy and everything. No, Tier 2 scares me more. At least with Tier 1, you know what the fuck's happening. Tier 3. Large enemy burst weapons, such as nuclear or antimatter warheads. So it's, I suppose, like smaller versions. Well, Tier 1 is more to do with like debris and comets and stuff, but there's, Tier 3, like small nuclear weapons. And Tier 4. Alien species deliberately introduce to crowd out native forms necessary for the health of an ecosystem. Ecological tampering can take years to bear fruit, making it difficult to approve. So basically, mass immigration then is a weapon. Yeah, there you go. See, that's why a lot of people don't like it. It's a weapon. Right, Citadel Station, Citadel Security Services. Citadel Security is a volunteer police service answering to the Citadel Council. The 200,000 constables of CSEC are responsible for maintaining public order in the densely populated Citadel. They also provide pirate suppression, customs enforcement, and search and rescue throughout the Citadel cluster. CSEC has 6 divisions. Enforcement. Uniformed officers who patrol the Citadel and respond to emergencies. Investigation. Detectives who puzzle out the truth behind crimes and bring perpetrators to justice. Customs. Screens the thousands of passengers and cargo containers that pass through the Citadel's ports every day. Network. Deals with cybercrimes like identity and copyright theft, hacking, viral attacks, and illegal artificial intelligence. Special Response deals with hostage situations, bombs, and heavily armed criminals. In the unlikely event that attackers board the Citadel, they are also the front line of defence, armed with military-grade equipment. Patrol. Naval arm, with ships stationed throughout the Citadel cluster. Unlike the other divisions, they are rarely seen at the Citadel, nor do they stay in one place long. Joining CSEC is prestigious. Applications must be sponsored by Citadel Councillor or the ambassador of an associate council race. Generally, applicants have many years of distinguished service in the military or police forces of their nation, but an inexperienced applicant with demonstrable talents will be fairly considered. CSEC and the Spectres are often at odds. Many CSEC members, notably current executive Venari Palin, believe that allowing Spectres to be above the law is a dangerous practice. The actions of Saren Arterius lend credence to this position. That's the guy we're speaking to, trying to take down now, aren't we? The Spectres, in turn, are aggravated when CSEC's dedication to procedure and due process hampers their investigations. Because, you know, they follow the fucking rules. Well, whatevers. Right, the Presidium Ring. The ring is an enclosed loop of park-like space. Let me read that again. The ring is an enclosed loop of park-like space, serving... Thank you, phone. Serving as the connection point for the wards. The interior walls are lined with the embassies of influential species and private residences for the galaxy's elite. The Presidium is full of open-air restaurants, bars, and luxurious meeting areas. Gravity is about a third Earth normal. A holographic sky is projected over the ceiling of the ring. Unlike the 24/7 bustle of the wards, the Presidium maintains a 20-hour day schedule, with a 6-hour night where lights are dimmed and the sky goes through a night cycle. Only 6 hours? That's a bit crap. Officers, I'd prefer at least I'd say 8 to 10. I think that should be much better. Offices and residences are often open to the interior. It is not unusual for embassies to have no exterior wall at all. This does not cause a crime problem due to the heavy CSEC presence and ubiquitous monitoring devices on the Presidium. These are quickly identified and apprehended. The ring is the location of the Citadel spaceports. Being closer to the centre of spin, there is less motion for a ship to match, and the reduced spin gravity makes handling cargo easier. Hundreds of ships pass through the Citadel every day, and every species within an embassy is granted a private dock. The tower, at the centre of the ring, holds the administration of the Citadel Council. The tower rises over a kilometre from the ring, appearing to thrust forward parallel to the ward arms. As the tower is at the centre of the spin axis, it experiences little centrifugal force. Gravity is maintained using mass effect fields and a 90-degree angle to the ring and wards. A consular dock can be found at the base of the tower. While normally used for diplomatic couriers and spectre business, the shuttles docked here can evacuate the council government in an emergency. So yeah, again, really detailed account of the ring, which is just one part of the Citadel, but that's how important it is. Again, I really like the way they think these things out. Right, Serpent Nebula. The Citadel is surrounded by a blue-tinted reflection nebula. The light of the nebula is actually light from the Citadel, scattered and reflected back at the station. At first, the Serpent Nebula was assumed to be made of microscopic construction debris. Prevailing theory holds that the Protheans used molecular nanotechnology to manufacture the incredibly durable materials used in the Citadel. But unlike other nebulae, the Serpent does not dissipate over time. Therefore, it must be replenished constantly. The current popular theory is that the non-recyclable waste collected by the Citadel's keepers is somehow rendered down to the atomic or molecular level and ejected into the cloud. The thick nebula presents a navigation hazard. Beyond the relatively clear areas around the Citadel, electrical discharges are common. These are not blocked by kinetic barriers and can severely damage metal-framed starships. In addition, some dense knots of dust can overwhelm the repulsion of kinetic barriers on small ships. If such a vessel is moving fast enough at the time, the effects are similar to being hit by a sandblaster. Ouch. Attempting to reach the Citadel through open space navigation is unadvisable. The only safe approach is through the various mass relays that orbit it. Fair enough. Statistics. Oh god, why is he? Statistics. Although the Citadel is equipped with mass effect generating element 0 cores, most of the gravity on the station is generated by the centrifugal force of rotation. Oh god, here we go. Rotation, 3.5 minutes per revolution. Fair enough. Rotational gravity in wards, 1.02 Earth. Rotational gravity in Presidium, 0.3 Earth. Total length, open, 44.7 kilometers. Diameter, open, 12.8 kilometers. Ward length, 43.6 kilometers. Ward width, 330 meters. Presidium ring diameter, 7.2 kilometers. Presidium ring width, 553 meters. Exterior armor thickness, 13 meters. Population, 13.2 million, not including keepers. Gross weight, 7.11 billion metric tons. Height of the Presidium Tower, 1,047 meters. Again, I wonder if they really, I wonder if they just came up with those statistics randomly, or did they really think about it when they were making this game? They were like, if we were asked for the specifications of the Citadel, how do we think this through? Because I bet any money if they, if they did do that, again, kudos to them for really going the distance to come up with detailed schematics and detailed and thought out sort of buildings and structures for the game, like especially key points. But I wonder if anybody has actually played the game and picked up other statistics throughout the game and just went, right, that doesn't work because that's this big, but this is this big, so how does this get there when we see it in the cutscene? That means that statistic is wrong, But then who's sad enough to do all that? Hopefully no one is, but you never know. The wards. The majority of the Citadel's population lives in the wards, the 5 massive arms of the station that house the residential and commercial districts. Many galactic races have established cultural enclaves here. Population density and cost of living are extremely high, akin to Earth cities such as Hong Kong and Singapore. It's also full of fake stuff as well. The wards are open-topped, with skyscrapers rising from the superstructure. Not that I've got anything against Hong Kong and Singapore, they're still really cool places, by the way. And they're not all fake stuff, don't be silly. It's just, there is a lot of fake stuff there. Just saying. Towers are sealed against vacuum, as the breathable atmosphere envelope is only maintained to a height of about 7 meters. The atmosphere is contained by the centrifugal force of rotation and a membrane of dense, colourless sulfur hexafluoride gas, held in place by carefully managed Mass Effect fields. The view from the wards is spectacular. In the background, stars, Serpent Nebula, and the nearby blue giant called the Widow, it's original, moves across the sky as the station rotates to stabilise itself. In the foreground, the lights of buildings and vehicles on the opposing ward arms perpetually shine. The Citadel has no real day or night. While the station keeps to standard galactic time for political functions, what is standard galactic time anyway? How do you actually do standard galactic time anyway? It can't be 24 hours or anything like that. It's got to be something completely different. What is standard galactic time? Businesses rarely close, and residents acclimate to sleep and work according to personal need rather than day-night cycle. Oh, I see. Yeah, so in other words, they're free to do what they want. So I suppose galactic time is beyond the 24-hour cycle. It'd have to be, wouldn't it? But you can still do certain deadlines and certain dates and important things you need to plan and time out. You can still do that relative to the rest of the galaxy. But in between, it's up to you as a species and an alien or as a living thing to organise the rest of your time-wise. So that's quite impressive, actually. I like that. Additions and modifications are constantly being constructed, though they must stay within certain specifications that will not compromise the operation of the station. Occasionally, the keepers will descend on an area of the wards and move or change the architecture without explanation. Residents have learned to live with these inexplicable intrusions. God, that must be pissy. Because again, you can't touch them, can you? Due to the right, so this is the Treaty of Pharexon. Whatever. Due to the destructive potential of dreadnoughts, the council races agreed at the Pharexon, apologies if I got that wrong, naval conference to fix a ratio of dreadnought construction between themselves. At the top of the pyramid is the peacekeeping Turian fleet. Below the Turians are the other council races, currently the Asari and Solarians. Council associate races are at the bottom. The Human System Alliance is part of this last group, because we suck. The ratio of Turian to council to associate dreadnoughts is 5-3-1. For every dreadnought humans are permitted to build, the Asari have 3 and the Turians 5. Fair enough. Keeps us in place then. Right, humans in the Systems Alliance then. We've got military jargon. Oh, bloody hell, do we have to bother with all this? Oh god, there's loads! Look at this! Like, who's ever going to bother with all this in the game? Okay. Again, forgive me if I get this wrong. Ashore. When a ship's crew leaves the vessel, they are ashore. Oh, okay, that's normal stuff. Away. When a ship releases the equipment tethering to a space station or service dock, it is away. Fair enough. Aye, aye. The proper way to acknowledge an order. Yeah, okay, that's fine. ASAP, as soon as possible. Belay. So this is actually typical stuff we use every day anyway. So we'll just quickly go through these. Belay, stop, cease. Oh, okay. Stop, no, come back. Bridge, navigation centre, we know that. Captain's mast, non-judicial disciplinary proceedings by unit commanders. Fair enough. CIC, combat information centre, the command centre of a spacecraft. The CIC is filled with sensor displays to make sense out of the chaos of combat. DC, damage control. That's basically what the comic industry is going through at the moment. The containment and repair of damage to a spacecraft. ECM, electronic countermeasure used to avoid enemy sensors from passive emissions masking to active jamming. EVA, extra vehicle activity. Time spent in a pressure suit outside of a vehicle, spacecraft or station. Flank. The flank is the side of a military formation. Since the soldiers are facing elsewhere, an enemy that can attack on the flank can often turn it or roll it up. F and G. Freaking new guys. No, that's not what it really is it? No, it's a lot ruder than that. A derisive term for inexperienced personnel. Fucking bastards! Fucking bellends is more like it. Ground site, the service of a planet. Helmsman, the crew member who pilots a spacecraft. Ladder, or LADAR. Light amplified detection and ranging. Yeah, it must be LADAR, because I guess it's a pun on radar. An active sensor that bounces lasers off an object to determine its bearing and distance. LADAR has sufficient resolution that the data can be reconstructed into an image. Pretty cool. Shore party, spacecraft crew sent ashore on official business. Silent running, an old submarine's term used aboard the Normandy to denote when stealth systems are active. SITREP, abbreviation of situation report, an evaluation of the current military situation. Spacer, someone who has spent most of their life in space. And EXO, executive officer, the second in command of an alliance warship. The EXO is responsible for administrative and personal matters. So there you go. Right, the N7, the Alliance Military Vocational Code System, classifies the career path of all serving personnel. The MVC consists of one letter and one number. A soldier's MVC indicates proficiency, not rank. The letter notes career path. The number indicates levels of experience, as indicated by service record, technical scores, and commendations. All 26 letters are used, and numbers run from 1 to 7. N is the letter code for Special Forces personnel. Cool. Timeline, 2069... No, we've done that already, and we've done the timeline. Ships and vehicles. So we've got sensors then, that's all we've got at the moment. Light lag prevents sensing in real time at great distances. A ship firing its thrusters at the Charon relay, or Charon relay, can be easily detectable from Earth 5.75 light hours, or 6 billion kilometers away. But Earth will only see the event 5 hours and 45 minutes after it occurs. Due to the light speed limit, defenders can't see enemies coming until they have already arrived. Because there is no FTL travel and communications... because there is FTL travel and communications but no FTL sensors, frigates are crucial for scouting and picket duties. Passive sensors are used for long-range detection, while active sensors obtain short-range, high-quality targeting data. Passive sensors include visual, thermographic, and radio detectors that watch and listen for objects in space. A powered ship emits a great deal of energy, the heat of the life support systems, the radiation given off by power plants, and electrical equipment, the exhaust of the thrusters. Okay, fair enough. The starships stand out... it's a hard one to read, this one. Starships stand out plainly against the near absolute zero background of space. Passive sensors can be used during FTL travel, but incoming data is significantly distorted by the effects of the mass effect envelope and Doppler shift. Active sensors are radars and high-resolution LADARs, or laser detection and ranging, that emit a ping of energy and listen for return signals. LADARs have a narrower field of view than radar, but a LADAR resolution allows images of detected objects to be assembled. Active sensors are useless when a ship is moving at FTL speed, so in other words, if you're going faster than light, you're pretty fucked. Have we already read this? No, it's something different. Biotics manipulate mass effect fields using dozens of element zero modules within their within their nervous system that react to electrical stimuli from the brain. Amplifiers allow biotics to synchronize the nodules so that they can form fields large and strong enough for practical use. Amplifiers can improve a specific discipline or talent. An implant is a surgically embedded interface port into which amps are plugged in. On humans, the implant is usually placed at the base of the skull for convenient access, though the user must be careful to keep it free from contaminants. Implant ports can fit a variety of amps, and there is a growing market for modifications and add-ons. The finest quality implants and amps are manufactured by Asari artisans, but the Alliance's L3 implants, first deployed in 2170, are a significant step forward. Hooray, we can actually do something! Real-time communication is possible thanks to networks of expensive mass relay comboios that can... Boyes? I don't know how you pronounce that word. That can daisy chain a transmission via lasers. That word, are maintained in patterns built outward from each mass relay. that word are little more than a cluster of primitive miniature mass relays. Each individual that word is connected to a partner on another that word in the network, forming a corridor or low mass space. Type beam communication lasers are piped through the tubes of FTL space, allowing virtually instantaneous communication to anywhere on the network. The network's connection across regions by communications lasers through the mass relays. With this system, the only communications delay is the light lag between the source or destination and the closest that word. So long as all parties remain within half a light second or 150,000 kilometers of that words, seamless real-time communications are possible. Since that words are maintained in all travelled areas, most enjoy unlimited instant communication. Ships only suffer communications lag when operating off established deep space routes around uninhabited outer system gas giants and other unsettled areas. During wartime, calm that word networks are the first target of attack. Once the network is severed, it can take anywhere from weeks to years to get a message out of a contested system. In systems where a that word network has not yet been built or has been destroyed, rapid communication means ferrying information through high-speed courier ships and unmanned data drones. So yeah, it's possible, but very delicate. The standard credit was established by the Citadel's Unified Banking Act as the currency of interstellar trade. The credit has a managed floating exchange rate, calculated in real time by the central bank to maintain the average value of all participating currencies. Some regional currencies are worth more than a credit, and some less. Hard currency can be stolen or counterfeited, so electronic fund transfers are the norm. More importantly, physical transactions cannot be easily tracked, making them ideal for tax evasion or the purchase of illegal goods. When the Alliance joined the Citadel, its various national treasuries were linked into the credit network. A human with a bank account of Mexican pesos, Japanese yen, or Indian rupees can purchase any item priced in credit at fair market value. All economies that participate in the credit network are required to price items in both local currency and credits. Fair enough. And then weapons armor. Upgrades. Okay, final thing to read. Phew! The development of practical manufacturing omni-tools allows modern militaries a great deal of flexibility in equipment loadouts. A vast number of field modification kits or upgrades are available for common equipment such as weapons, armor, omni-tools, biotic amps, and even grenades. An upgrade kit typically consists of less than a dozen unique parts and an optical storage disk. When loaded into an Omni-tool, the OSD provides all technical specifications required to manufacture the tools and additional parts necessary to install the upgrade onto another piece of equipment. Assembly is typically modular, and installation can be completed in less than a minute. Since Omni-tools are designed to use common battlefield salvage materials such as plastic, ceramics and light metals, rendered into semi-molten Omni-gel for quick use, it is quite possible for a trained soldier carrying upgrade kits to customize gear on the battlefield to fit the current tactical situation. Wunderbar. Well, that's it then. So that's all of the Codex read then, I think, so far. Nice that the primary ones get read out for us. I forgot about that. Just have a quick look at the journal stuff. See what we got. Look for information for the reporter's request. Okay. This is all stuff we're doing at the moment. What harm could there be in talking with Vernier? I don't know. Oh, that's the guy that we signed the autograph for. Well, we set ourselves up for absolute future pain later, but whatever. Strange transmission. You discovered a strange transmission discussing some sort of biotic commune. On the whole, it seems harmless, but something about the message is a little disturbing. I heard the sounds of whipping and beatings in the background. Unusual readings. While on the Citadel, you uncovered an Alliance patrol report. One of the patrols mentioned some strange activity in the hydro system of the Argos Row cluster. Go to the hydro system in the Argos Row cluster and investigate. I guess their warehouse transfer belt has broken down. Blah, 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 blah. Fair enough. And I think that's it. Nope, that's going back to the wrong one. You need to find some proof that Sauron is connected with the Geth. And we've been to the tower. Go to the med clinic. Yes, we need to do that. And go see Barlavon. Cool. Right, well that's that then. So we'll save the game for now, just for the sake of having it done and dusted. And yeah, if you haven't watched all this all the way through, I hope you gained some more insightful information about the background of this game. A lot of reading, a lot of stuff, which it's not always a good narrative device. And you know, case in point, Final Fantasy 13 butt fucked all of the narration in just text files like that. But in this game, you don't need to read it to really get what's going on. It's just there as an additional thing. It's not there to crucially understand what's going on, for the most part anyway. So I didn't mind it so much. But yeah, because this game is bigger than it's trying to be, then a lot of it gets crammed into these text files and stuff. It's not ideal, but I like the fact that when you read it, it seems and appears very well thought out. So I can appreciate reading it. It was good. Anyway, right, so that's that then. So if you watched the end of this video, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll move on to part 5. So until next time, take it easy, have a good one, hope you're all well, see you in the next one, bye for now.